Hello, I'm Henry Keane. This is News Pulse at UATV. Welcome to the show. Today in the episode, at least 40% of Russia's oil export capacity is at halt. After Ukrainian drone attacks, Putin is losing money dramatically. The United States and allies in Iran are running out of missiles, and there is a good reason for that. They use super expensive Patriot missiles to down one super cheap Shahed drone. Ukraine is building up a layered defense architecture and gets the result, destroying 95% of Russian airborne targets. More in our exclusive reportage. Drones, some say of unknown origin, have been attacking Russia's Leningrad Oblast, fourth day in a row. Last night it was the Kharkiv oil refinery, one of the largest one in Russia, that was hit. It produced petrol, diesel fuel, kerosene, fuel oil, and wide range of petrochemical products. The attack was so powerful that it just forced even local Russian authorities to confirm it actually happened. Industrial zone is heavily damaged, and the Russian Defense Ministry reports that a total of 125 Ukrainian drones have been downed over Russian regions overnight. Well, we in Ukraine don't mind of any quantity of Ukrainian drones reported down by Russians, as long as some of these drones keep on getting to their targets, setting them ablaze. If that hurts your feeling in any way, please remember, Ukraine did not start the fire. It's just returning it to where it came from. After recent strikes, Russia's Baltic ports of Primorsk and Ust-Luga, major export terminals, suspended all operations with crude oil and oil products. Ukrainian drone attacks on the Baltic ports amount to one of the largest strikes to date against Russia's oil export facilities that fuel Putin's war machine for 4 years now. While blockade of the Hormuz Strait indeed is letting Russia to make more money on prices pushed up by demand, Ukraine is successfully pushing Russian cash flow down. Well, such yourself, at least 40% of Russia's oil export capacity is at complete halt following Ukrainian drone attacks, including or not those on major pipelines and the seizure of tankers that may or may not be attributed to Ukraine. But this way or the other, Russia gets 2 million barrels or less per day. According to Reuters, the recent shutdown is the most severe oil supply disruption in the modern history of oil-addicted Russia. Ukraine intensified drone attacks on Russia's oil and fuel export infrastructure this month, also hitting all three of Russia's major Western oil export ports, Novorossiysk on the Black Sea and Primorsk and Ust-Luga on the Baltic Sea. The reason is easy to grasp. Russia's oil output is the main source of revenue for the national budget and is a core of Russia's $2.6 trillion economy. And Ukraine just turned 40% of that core off. The US-Israeli attacks against Iran and the threats against the energy infrastructure, as well as Tehran's retaliation on its Gulf neighbors, underline how the norms of starting and escalating international wars have been upended, as BBC puts it, which is not true. Norms of starting and escalating international wars were upended 4 years ago, actually, when Russia, armed with Iranian drones, invaded Ukraine.
The cases of Russia and Ukraine, or the U.S. in Iran, or in Venezuela, are called a crime of aggression. That means the use of armed forces by a state against the sovereignty, the territorial integrity, or the political independence of another state. That's it. Now we go from the rules-based system to the rule of the man. Whatever today President Trump decides will be the rule. That's not a viable world. Luis Moreno Ocampo, founding chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court.
Well, maybe Mr. Camper has his reasons to believe so, because Trump threats to bomb Iranian power plants. Ocampo linked such strikes to Russia's attacks on energy sites in Ukraine, which led to Russian officials being indicted by the International Criminal Court for alleged war crimes. And indeed, US President Donald Trump has at least twice threatened to use overwhelming force against Iranian energy facilities. Just last week, he said he would, quote, massively blow up Iran's South Pass gas field if Iran further retaliated against Qatari energy sites. And on Saturday, Trump said the US would, quote, again, obliterate Iran's various power plants, starting with the biggest one first, if its leaders did not reopen the Strait of Hormuz. In response, the White House calls ICC prosecutor Moreno Ocampo's statement ridiculous. It said Trump was taking bold action to eliminate the threat posed by a rogue terrorist regime. Well, that is true. The world knows that the Iranian regime is a dictatorship. There is no doubt about that, no discussion. And yes, it needs to be removed. However, from what we see, it just may look like Donald Trump wants to free not the people of Iran, but the Ayatollah's throne just to take his seat in.
They want very much to make a deal. We'd like to make a deal too, but we'll at some point very, very soon meet. We're doing a 5-day period. We'll see how that goes. And if it goes well, we're going to end up with settling this. Otherwise, we'll just keep bombing our little hearts out. A top person, don't forget, we've wiped out the leadership phase 1, phase 2, and largely phase 3. But we're dealing with the man who I believe is the most respected and the leader. It's a little tough. We've wiped out everybody.
Is that the Supreme Leader?
No, not the Supreme Leader. We don't. Well, nobody heard of the second Supreme Leader, the son.
Well, but whatever is the reason behind all this victorious saber-rattling rhetoric and actual bombings, it doesn't seem to be getting their little hearts anywhere without a boot on the ground. I mean, a ground operation. With such an operation not clear actually to take place anywhere in the foreseeable future, today, Iranian regime seems to be, well, if not winning, then surely protracting this war to its own good or going BBC-ish to however the international rules of escalating wars might upend. And I'm not going to speculate on how exactly that might upend. That I don't know, but there is what I know. One Ukrainian interceptor drone to down one Iranian Shahed drone cost as much as $2,000 for a 100% down rate, which is not my Ukrainian news anchor's speculation on the matter, but the actually proved real combat data. It takes 2 interceptor drones and $4,000 for a certain interception hit. The solution is here. It's obvious. It's at the table, cheap and effective. While Donald Trump and allies in the Persian Gulf keep on showing an outstanding, amazingly relentless rate of thoughtlessness by, as confirmed by Ukrainian officers observing the scene, firing as much as 8 Patriot missiles to down just one Shahed drone.
Ukraine has never had such a package of missiles throughout all the years of war. Altogether, it was nowhere close. After this, they made a request to Ukraine. Why? Because 800 or 1,000 missiles will not help when hundreds of Shaheds are flying. Volodymyr Zelensky, president of Ukraine.
Even so, a request has been made. They keep on doing that anyway. They are rejecting all Ukrainian combat experience and the cheap, fast, result-proven solution offered by President Zelensky. Well, because obviously there's someone in the world who just knows better than anybody else.
No, we don't need Ukraine's help in drone defense. We know more about drones than anybody. We have the best drones in the world, actually. Last person we need help from is Zelensky, Donald Trump, president of the United States.
Well, and here we are. As a result, Ukrainian tech is not accepted by the US, no allies. And today, it's roughly $24 million to down $100,000 worth target. With already spending over 800 Patriot missiles, it is about $2 billion spent against roughly 80 million worth threats. That sums up to roughly $1.8 billion disappeared literally in the thin air during first month of war in Iran only. And it's not even anywhere near from being over. So, today, every time multiple Patriot missiles fire up to down one Iranian drone, Iranian Ayatollah, whoever that might be, just keeps on smiling. And you can really keep on changing Ayatollahs all you want, but what you should really be changing to win the war is the calculus. Here is a piece of Ukrainian advice to anyone who wants to win wars and not just MAGA votes. Look for the best solution offered and use it to save lives. Or don't. And then get more American flag-wrapped coffins sent back home to weep over. Which, by the way, could be an acceptable, big, beautiful deal for someone who weeps over oil prices instead. On the night of 24th of March, Ukrainian Air Defense neutralizes 95% of targets. It's not just effective. U.S. Space Command General Stephen Whitney, for example, when speaking to Senate, called Ukrainian Air Defense a, quote, out of this world. But it's not, actually. On contrary, it's very down-to-earth and pragmatic, because Ukraine's layered air defense tech architecture, grounded in a systemic approach, all available resources are involved to counter the attacks, including our top-notch interceptor drones, of course. The result of these efforts are already very evident in major cities that have traditionally been the enemy's primary targets. If interested in watching Ukrainian drones interceptors at work during Russian attacks, here it is in our exclusive reportage for you.
This is the launch of one of Ukraine's interceptor drones, the P-1-SUN. In the Kharkiv region, Russian attack drones strike civilians almost every day. To prevent them from reaching the city and the region, several layers of air defense have been created. In particular, interceptor drones are used by operators to block Russian UAV flights during nighttime attacks.
We have several interception lines where groups are positioned so they can cover each other as much as possible. Where we can't reach, another group should be able to, creating a wall for the enemy that he cannot break through.
Boris, commander of one of the interceptor drone platoons, says that as soon as an enemy UAV appears on the radar, the crew has only a few minutes to destroy it.
You know where you can intercept it. You have literally 1 to 2 minutes maximum. After that, the chances of catching up with it become very low. In February, we had 2 confirmed hits and 2 more impacts where no detonation occurred.
There can be several interceptor launches per night, but if the target is not found, the pilots return the drones to base.
There was a night when we had 10 launches and didn't detect a single one. You roughly understand where to look. Our policy is, if you don't find anything and there's a chance to return, we bring it back.
To counter Russian Shahed drones, Ukraine developed and later launched mass production of interceptor drones such as Sting, P-1-SUN, and others in 2024. These Ukrainian defense industry developments are now attracting interest from around the world, as the war in the Middle East has clearly demonstrated the danger posed by Shaheeds.
If critical infrastructure facilities are equipped with such automatic or semi-automatic systems, that is most likely the future.
According to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, Ukraine has received requests for the supply of these drones from 11 countries. Several groups of Ukrainian service members have already been sent to countries in the Middle East to provide consultations on countering Shahed-type drones, reported by Natalia Belokudria, UATV News.
Looks like there is no more news for today. I'm Henry Keane. Thank you so very much for watching the episode. Please, before leaving, leave a nice comment and, who knows, maybe even a like and subscription to our channel. So to stay tuned to what tomorrow holds for all of us. UATV will be there to keep you posted on that in Ukrainian perspective as usual. And as always, stay safe and tuned for more. See you tomorrow.